Hi guys, welcome again to Smooth West Corner. Thank you for tuning in. I still want you guys to leave your comments down, leave your thoughts, leave what you think, leave your own understanding of the word that we share in each and every day. Share your thoughts. Remember, the purpose of all this is for us to serve on the command that God left for us to do on earth, to spread his word and make sure that all nations know about it, because it will be only then we'll experience and the time will end. That's what the book of Matthew says. It says, after my word has reached all nations, then you'll know that the end is near. But until then, we still have a task in our hands to spread his word out there. So it's very important for us to share our views and share some scriptures that have sort of inspired us and encouraged us in our journey of faith. So I just want to share with you shortly, what God made me realize last night as I was praying my night prayer. I just found myself reading the second chapter of Genesis, one of the first 5 books that Moses wrote. The second chapter, chapter 2, talks about the creation of man, where God created a man, first created a man. It was after he had seen how beautiful the earth and the heavens were, how light was separated from darkness, and how everything fitted into place. He then saw it fit to create a man out of his own image. The Bible says he created a man from the dust in the ground, and the Bible says he also breathed his breath in the nostrils of the man, the breath of life. As you go on in the whole chapter of chapter 2, the Bible also talks about God creating a helper for the man. That is the creation of the woman. But I've always knew the whole chapter. I've always knew the whole book. In fact, but I never really took note that it was Adam who saw the need of getting himself a helper. If you read at verse 20d, it says, but for Adam no suitable helper was found. This was after he had named all the animals, the birds, the serpents, all kinds of animals. And they were living there in the Garden of Eden, planet Earth, with him. But it was also Adam who saw it fit to have himself a suitable helper. It was not enough for him to live with only animals. So look at what God did. God then decided to make a duplicate of Adam. Now this, I've never experienced this verse or the whole chapter the way I did last night. God made me see it in a totally different way, different perspective. The Bible says God then put Adam to rest, to deep sleep. He fell asleep. And guess what God did? He took one of Adam's rib, and the Bible says he created a woman out of a man. So I said to myself, I had this thought that, okay, this automatically means the helper that God created out of a man is a duplicate of a man. And guess what the title is given to the duplicate of the man? It's the helper. We have ourselves a what? A helper. And who is that helper? A woman. Now this is sacred. This is very much so sacred. And as you go on in the chapter, you also learn about, how the first temptation was formed, was realized, and came about. And I looked at God and I was like, it could have happened to anyone. Why didn't the serpent go for Adam? Why did the serpent go for the helper woman? You get what I'm saying, right? You get where I'm coming from. Why didn't the serpent go straight to the first man that was created? The very first human being that God created and gave to them the greatest task of all, to work and cultivate the land. Why didn't the serpent go to a man? I asked God this question and I wanted him to reveal to me a very on point, deep answer to this question. Why? And it came to me, it came to my surprise that Adam was probably too focused in his mission, what God had assigned him to do, which was to work and cultivate the land, take care of the Garden of Eden, and seclude himself from the fruit of life and knowledge and all that. He was too focused into his task, into his given task that God has assigned him to do on planet Earth. So the serpent saw it fit to go for the helper, who was probably distracted at the time, who didn't pay as much attention, because the helper was not given the same task by God. There's no part in the chapter where we hear God also giving the same instruction to the helper. But I assume that the man might have instructed the helper of what was going on, since the man had originally wanted help for himself. So I kind of assume that he might have told the helper that, you know what, the reason why you're here is because of this and this and this and this. So the serpent saw it fit to distract. Come on now. So the serpent saw it fit to go for the vulnerable help that was recently created. Did God really say you shouldn't eat this kind of tree? And guess what the helper said? She said, yes, look at this chapter. The Bible says, the woman said to the serpent, we may eat fruit from the trees in the garden, but God did say, you must not eat fruit from the tree that is in the middle of the garden, and you must not touch it or you will die. you have to hear you have to try to understand what I am trying to make you understand here. Had it not been God, I really don't understand why Adam wanted more help. I really don't understand. Because he had himself hundreds and thousands of animals that he could order around, that he had originally named, given names to, but that wasn't enough. That wasn't enough for Adam. He wanted something more for himself. Look at the man. Look at the man, the kind of man in this world. We don't get satisfied by anything. We always want more. We leave what we have and want more. And as a result, a destruction is caused. Chaos is caused. A commotion is caused. Because we are never satisfied with what we have. We always want more. Now, this thing is not new. It started from the very beginning. The first man, Adam, was not satisfied with the help he had. He wanted something more. And guess what happened with what he wanted more of? It gave the man the greatest punishment of all times. If you continue reading on the chapter, you find that God, after they had fallen for the temptation and had eaten the tree that was forbidden, the Bible says the man, let me read this verse for you. God said to the man, because you listened to your wife and ate fruit from the tree about which I had commanded you, you must not eat from. Cursed is the ground because of you. Through painful toil, you will eat food from it all the days of your life. It will produce thorns and thistles for you, and you will eat the plants of the field. But the sweat of your brow, you will eat your food until you return to the ground, since from it you were taken, for dust you are, and to dust you will remain. The greatest curse of them all, of all times, the ground that we were formed from, the very same dust. God says we will have to cultivate it and we'll have to make it work on our favor. We will feed from the very same ground that God cursed. My God. And we will also have to go back to the same ground that we were made of. Now, as I was reading this chapter, God also enlightened me on the aspect of death. Death, the mystery of all times. Death. What is death? And it came into my surprise that since we were made from the ground, we are ought to go back to the ground from which we were formed. We were first formed. Now, this has an expiry date. I always hear people that his death was an accident, or they died due to an accident. And to my surprise last night, I realized that there's no such thing as accident. Your body has reached its expiration date. Depending on the impact it encountered, it probably didn't survive the impact and it literally gave up. Your body didn't survive. This dust didn't survive the impact it encountered. And as a result, your spirit had to leave. Your body did not survive the impact. This is so deep. One has to really dig deep into this and try to understand it better. I was shocked myself. I was like, God, what are you saying right now? Because if you look at it really, the very same breath that God gave to us lives forever, but this doesn't. This is only the cover. But God also needs this to reveal himself to the real world, to everyone. So I was so astonished by this whole chapter. I was astonished. I was like, had it not been of that temptation, a man would have to live forever. The very same man that God created. The body of the man, though, will not live forever. At some point, it will reach an expiration date. But the spirit that God first instilled when he first created a man will live forever. But the body of the man, the soil, the dust, will go back to the very same dust that God cursed. The very same dust that will have to feed a man for the rest of his natural life is the very same dust where the body of the man will have to return to. Come on now. You have to understand this now. You have to understand this. So it also made me to be at ease with death. Now I understand that, okay, really, death isn't such a big issue. It's just a point where your body reaches its expiration date, its extinction level. It cannot go further than that point. So death is never an accident. It is because of the impact your body might have experienced, and as a result, it didn't have the ability to sustain that impact, and it gave up, it died. But your spirit lives forever. You know why? Because it is God's spirit. He first instilled it in you. But this will have to go back to the cursed ground. I hope you understand this the way I do, and I hope you make reference to this all your life, and you pray for God to reveal himself each and every day in your life and make you understand such things, because we are so much terrified by the most meaningless things. All the answers are here. We just have to dig deep and find the answers from the book. The very same manual that God left for us to relate into. We are so lost in this world. We think we know things. We think we know all the answers. We think we've got it. We think we have it covered. We are lost until we go back to the manual, until we go back to the word that God, when he left for us. Until we go back deep, dig in, and find the answers, we will know The simplest things we were so confused about, we will know the answers of. I ain't afraid of death. I ain't afraid of that because I know that I'm going to live forever. I'm going to live forever, but my body, my representation on earth won't. There are some of the transitions that my body will not be able to sustain, and as a result it will give up, and as a result people won't experience me anymore on earth because my body would have given up at the time, but my spirit will continue to live forever because it is not impacted by ground, it is not impacted by the dust that a man was created out of. Goodbye. I'm going to pray for you. I want to pray that God reveals to you something else. And I want you to share it on this page. I want you to share it on this channel. I want you to share your views. I want you to tell me your opinion. I want you to tell me what you think.